All right, so good evening. Our agenda of discussion is fixed overheads and fixed overheads related variances. Now, in the process of this particular lecture, we are going to discuss many important concepts, as I was saying before I started the recording, on the subject matter of fixed overheads per se. So, fixed overheads generally has been a bone of contention in the subject of costing overall. Now, what is fixed overheads? How to deal with fixed overheads? This lecture is all about that, and also how to deal with variances that arise on account of fixed overheads. So first of all, let us understand the funda of fixed overheads. Now, when we talk about fixed overheads, there are three terms that come to us. The first term is budgeted fixed overheads. The second term is absorbed or applied fixed overheads. And the third term is actual fixed overheads. My dear friends, each of these terms are distinct from one another and have a profound meaning in the sphere and field of costing, specifically in absorption costing. Now, what are budgeted fixed overheads? बजटेड फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स वो खर्चा है जो मैंने एस्टिमेट किया कि मुझे फिक्स्ड नेचर के ओवरहेड्स पर होने वाला है. दिस इज एन एस्टिमेट ऑफ फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स that company's management believes it will incur. ये उनका अनुमान है, ये उनका एस्टिमेट है कि इतना खर्चा उन्हें होगा. दिस इज देयर एस्टिमेट. क्या ये खर्चा दरअसल हुआ है? क्या ये खर्चा एक्चुअली इनकर हुआ है? हैव यू एक्चुअली इनकर्ड दिस? Please keep this much in mind. This is merely budgeted. This is merely budgeted, not actually incurred. This is merely budgeted and not actually incurred. I want you to be very, very clear about this. This is budgeted and it is not actually incurred. ये बस एक अनुमान है कि इतना मेरे को फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स पे खर्चा होगा, कि मुझे इतना फिक्स्ड फैक्ट्री रेंट देना पड़ेगा, फैक्ट्री सुपरवाइजर सैलरी देना पड़ेगा, फैक्ट्री फिक्स्ड असेट्स पे डेप्रिसिएशन आएगा, फैक्ट्री रेंट होगा, फलाना ढिमका, प्रॉपर्टी टैक्सेस ऑन फैक्ट्री, व्हाटएवर. ये फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स है. ये ओवरहेड्स इनकर किए बगैर मैं मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कर नहीं सकता हूं. These are my fixed unavoidable costs that I incur. They are overheads because they are not directly traceable to the product. Now what is absorbed or applied fixed overheads? एक बात हमेशा याद रखिए, बिजनेसमैन का एक ही फंडा होता है और वो होता है पैसा वसूल. जब कभी आपने कोई पिक्चर देखी हो तो एटलीस्ट मुंबई के लैंग्वेज में बोलते हैं पिक्चर कैसी थी, तो लोग बोलते हैं पैसा वसूल. रेस्टोरेंट कैसा था, खाना कैसा था, बोला पैसा वसूल. मतलब क्या? यू रिकवर्ड वॉट एवर यू हैव स्पेंट. पिक्चर इतनी बढ़िया थी कि ऐसा लगा कि 200 रुपए जो 500 रुपए टिकट पे गए वो तो यार रिकवर ही हो गए, इतनी बढ़िया पिक्चर थी. पैसा वसूल इज द फिलोसॉफी ऑफ एब्सॉर्प्शन. पैसा वसूल इज द फिलोसॉफी ऑफ एब्सॉर्प्शन. This is how much we recover from every unit produced and contributed towards fixed costs. मतलब हर यूनिट पर हम कितने पैसे रिकवर करते हैं और कितने वो पैसे हम फिक्स कॉस्ट को उठाने में, झेलने में लगा देते। मान के चलिए आपने एक यूनिट के पीछे यदि 20 रुपए रिकवर किए तो हर यूनिट के पीछे 20 रुपया आपने फिक्स कॉस्ट के प्रति कंट्रीब्यूट किया। इसका मतलब क्या है, एक न्यूमेरिकल एग्जांपल के साथ तो एक्चुअली समझेंगे। और एक्चुअल फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स का मतलब क्या, व्हाट यू एक्चुअली स्पेंट ऑन फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स, व्हाट यू एक्चुअली स्पेंट ऑन फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड इज एक्चुअल फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड। अब देखिए, यदि आपके कैलकुलेशंस, आपके एस्टिमेशंस इतने सटीक है, इतने एक्यूरेट है कि आपने इतने एक्यूरेटली आपका बजटिंग किया कि आपके बजटेड इज इक्वल टू अब्सॉर्ब्ड इज इक्वल टू एक्चुअल, ये हो सकता है, दिस कैन बी अ पॉसिबिलिटी, बट इट इज अ वेरी रेयर पॉसिबिलिटी, it is a very rare possibility that budgeted will be equal to absorbed will be equal to actual. It is a very rare possibility. हो सकता है, हो सकता है, हो सकता है, लेकिन लेकिन ये बहुत ही रेयर पॉसिबिलिटी है। अब हमें ये समझना है कि इन हर एक टर्म का जो ये लिटरल मीनिंग मैंने आपके सामने रखा है फॉर द पर्पज ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग द कॉन्सेप्ट, वो न्यूमेरिकली क्या एक 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 अर्थ, एक मीनिंग अपने आप में इस्टेब्लिश करता है, ये हमें देखना है। इसका न्यूमेरिकल मीनिंग और लर्निंग क्या है। तो सबसे पहले एक बात दोहरा दूं, बजटेड फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स वो क्या है, जो आपने मान के चला होंगे बजट है। एब्जॉर्ब्ड है वो जो आपने रिकवर किया। अब डाउट आएगा, अरे रिकवर किया और एक्चुअल इनकर किया में फर्क क्या है। वही फर्क है जो जमीन और आसमान में है, वही फर्क है जो पानी और आग में है, वही फर्क है जो कुर्सी और दरवाजे में है। लग शायद एक ही सकते हैं, लेकिन है नहीं, लेकिन है नहीं। दरअसल देखा जाए तो वन इज पिन एंड अदर इज पियानो, लेकिन वी नीड टू हैव द कॉन्सेप्चुअल क्लैरिटी ऑफ अंडरस्टैंडिंग दैट पैसा वसूल का मतलब होता है अब्सॉर्ब। अब सबसे पहले ये आपके फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स की जर्नी का पहला स्क्रीनशॉट है, जिसे आप बेहद ध्यान से आपके पास ला करके रख देंगे। जो फर्स्ट स्क्रीनशॉट, काइंडली टेक इट, आई वांट टू रब द स्क्रीन एंड आई वांट टू मूव अहेड, राइट गाइस? होप इट्स टेकन, होप द स्क्रीनशॉट इज टेकन, आई एम मूविंग अहेड नाउ। let us understand that we will have some budgeted data and let us understand that we will have some actual data. अब मान के चलते हैं हमने बजट किया कि हम महीने में 25 दिन काम करेंगे, हम महीने में 25 दिन काम करेंगे और हम टोटल इस महीने में 5000 घंटे काम करेंगे। हमारा फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स पे बजटेड खर्चा होगा 50,000 रुपया और हम एक आउटपुट क्रिएट करेंगे 2500 यूनिट्स का। ये हमारा बजट है। प्लीज नोट दैट इन दिस we are not considering idle time variances as they are out of syllabus for US CMA एग्जाम। हम आइडल टाइम को कंसिडर नहीं कर रहे हैं। इसकी वजह से यदि आप या तो ओवर स्मार्ट बनने के लिए, या तो ओवर क्यूरियस बनने के लिए, या तो प्लेनली स्टूपिडिटी करने के लिए अगर आप कोई भी सीए या सीएमए इंडिया का फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड का लेक्चर रेफर करो तो पूरा आपको लिटरली माइकल होल्डिंग का बाउंसर पड़ेगा, क्योंकि हर जगह पे आइडल टाइम होगा और हमें आइडल टाइम है ही नहीं, हमें आइडल टाइम है ही नहीं, वी डू नॉट हैव इट। सो प्लीज डू नॉट बॉदर योरसेल्फ, प्लीज डू नॉट बॉदर योरसेल्फ। So now, on the basis of this particular budgeted data, I want to find out certain things about certain important matrices. सबसे पहले मुझे फाइंड आउट करना है कि एक यूनिट के पीछे कितना खर्चा पड़ा पर यूनिट। तो मैं ये कह सकता हूं कि मेरे ओवरहेड्स थे $50,000 और इन डॉलर्स 50,000 में मैंने 2,500 यूनिट बना के दिखाने हैं, ये मैंने बजट किया है, तो मुझे एक यूनिट के पीछे $20 पर यूनिट इतना पैसा रिकवर करना है, इतना पैसा रिकवर करना है। मतलब जब भी मैं एक यूनिट बनाऊंगा, उस एक यूनिट के पीछे मुझे फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड के लिए $20 या ₹20 वसूल करना है। I want to recover $20 per unit that I manufacture. And when I am recovering $20 per unit and I am making 2,500 such units, I am recovering $50,000. Means if I am making 2,500 units as budgeted, my budgeted fixed overhead per unit is equal to $20 per unit. My dear friends, this is factored into the cost of the product. Sir, what is the cost of the product? Direct material, direct labor, variable overhead, fixed overhead. Fixed overhead में लिख दिया मैंने 50. Sir, how you got 50? I estimated that my overheads are going to be $50,000. My level of activity is going to be 2,500 units. Therefore, I assumed that the cost behind each unit is 20 per unit, and this cost has to be recovered on a per unit basis to recover the entire fixed overhead. जब भी आप बेचते हो, आप कोई भी कंपनी ले लीजिए जिसने ये कैलकुलेटर मैन्युफैक्चर किया, are they not recovering their cost per calculator sold? Or are they recovering their cost on some weird total basis? Absolutely not. The moment a unit is manufactured, the cost recovery process begins with its sale. Each unit that you sell contributes to your revenue. From the revenue, you subtract the cost. You're staying with profit. The fact that you subtracted the cost shows that you have recovered the cost. This is called cost recovery. For this data, how much cost per unit are you saying you want to recover? You are saying we want to recover 20 per unit manufactured. We want to recover 20 per unit manufactured. Is this point absolutely clear in everybody's mind that we want to recover 20 per unit manufactured? Do we agree to this statement or we don't agree to this statement? क्या ये सबको समझ में आया है? If yes, please give me a thumbs up. मैं बहुत ही डेडिकेटेडली आपके रिस्पॉन्सेस का इंतजार कर रहा हूं. क्या ये सबको समझ में आया है? Have we understood this? I've gotten only, okay, I'm getting responses. I'm getting responses. Are we understanding this? I request everybody to respond. Don't keep quiet. I am seeing attendees. I want to know if you are understanding. Are you or are you not understanding? That is important. Please do not take the explanation for granted. If you are present, tell me if you have understood or no. It's essential. Now,
Understood, sir.
I am endeavoring to recover 20 per unit manufacture. Okay. Okay. This was per unit. But my dear friends, this unit is a very tricky fellow. This unit has two sides to it. It will have a unit cost and it will have a time taken. What do I mean by time taken? My dear friends, please understand that when we work for 5,000 hours, we are budgeted to get 2,500 units. So for one unit, how many hours? For one unit, how many hours do we have to work? For one unit, we have to work for 5,000 hours divided by 2,500 units, which is 2 hours per unit. This is how much time we have to work to make one unit. This is how much time we have to work to make our unit. As per budget, it will take us 2 hours to make 1 unit. Fair enough. Fair enough. My dear friends, let's now talk about days. What about the days? How many days am I working? Well, it's very, very clear over here that we are working for 25 days. And how many hours are we working? How many hours are we working in those 25 days? We are working for 5,000 hours. We are working for 5,000 hours. So in one day, how many hours are my total laborers working? In one day, my laborers work for 5,000 hours divided by 25 days. They work for 200 hours per day. These are man hours. It says good as saying that 25 laborers are working for 8 hours a day. That is why it's 200 hours a day. How many hours a day are you working in your factory? सारे मजदूरों की मेहनत मिला के 8 मजदूर है. 1, 2, 3, 4, ये 5, ये 6, ये 7 और ये 8. हर एक बंदा एक दिन के अंदर, हर एक बंदा राइट एक दिन के अंदर एक अमुक घंटे के लिए काम कर, राइट. ये 8 मजदूर है. लेट्स अज्यूम दैट ऐसे करते करते हमारे पास 25 लेबरर्स है. कितने लेबरर्स है? 25 लेबरर्स है. अज्यूम करते एक बंदे ने 8 घंटे काम किया, 2 बंदे मिला के 16, 3 घंटे मिला के 3 बंदे 24, 32, टक 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 करते करते 25 बंदे मिला के ये 200 घंटे हो जाएंगे. Each fellow is working for 8 hours. 25 laborers I have, each working for 8 hours a day, 200 hours a day. My laborers are working. Are we clear about this? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Are we clear about this? Yes, or
sir.
no? Please tell me that. Are we clear? 100%? Okay. Okay. Let's take a screenshot of this. Let's take a screenshot of this. For the purposes of the lecture right now, I request that you also take a screenshot of this. It's very important. Assuming it's taken. Now, let's paste this screenshot right over here, so that whenever necessary, this screenshot can be referred to. Now, let's continue and go ahead into our discussion. So, days का हो गया. Days का हो गया. अब days में एक और बात आ जाती है. अब 25 दिन काम करके, कितने दिन काम करके? अब 25 दिन काम करके मेरा ओवरहेड कितना है? 50,000 रुपया, जैसे कि मैंने बजट किया था. मेरे बजटेड ओवरहेड्स 50,000 है, जबकि आप जानते हो माय बजटेड ओवरहेड्स आर 50,000. तो एक दिन के लिए मेरे ओवरहेड्स कितने? सो माय ओवरहेड पर डे इज इक्वल टू $50,000 divided by 25 days, which is equal to $2,000 per day. These are my budgeted overheads per day. These are my budgeted overheads per day. I hope this is clear. Now, my dear friends, let's talk about hours. Let's talk about hours. My dear friends, please pay attention. For 200 hours per day, you have an overhead of $2,000. Sir, how did you get this? 200 hours per day, you have an overhead of $2,000 per day. So for 1 hour, what is your overhead? So overhead per hour is equal to $2,000 divided by 200 hours, which is equal to $10 per hour. My dear friends, please understand the following. Overhead per unit, we calculated it to be $20. 1 unit takes 2 hours is my calculation. 1 unit takes 2 hours. 1 hour is at the rate of $10 per hour. Therefore, 2 hours is $20. Now, whether you go on hour-wise basis or you go on a per unit basis, you have gotten the answer $20. Therefore, on an hour-wise basis or on a per unit basis, you have arrived on $20 per unit. Here, I would like to explain the entire concept again to everybody for ample clarity of thought. Kindly pay attention to everything that is being said, please. I request that you take a screenshot of this first. Please take a screenshot of this part. Take a screenshot. Assuming that it is taken, I am moving to the other page just for the purposes of re-explanation. ध्यान से सुनिएगा क्या कहा जा रहा है. देखिए और गौर फरमाइए. देखिए और गौर फरमाइए. समझने की कोशिश कीजिए. समझने की कोशिश कीजिए. आपके बजट में आप 25 दिन काम करने वाले थे. इन 25 दिनों में आप 5000 आवर्स के लिए काम करने वाले थे. आपको खर्चा ओवरहेड पे होने वाला था $50,000 और आपका आउटपुट निकलने वाला था 2500 यूनिट्स. दिस इज व्हाट यू हैड बजटेड. This is what you had budgeted. Please keep that much in mind. You budgeted this. Now understand the meaning of this. My dear friends, units, overheads. Now my calculation starts over here. 2500 units result in $50,000 of overheads. So 1 unit results in how many dollars of overheads? So it is $50,000 divided by 2500 units, which is equal to 50,000 divided by 2500, which is equal to $20 per unit. This we calculated on a unit wise basis. What is the meaning of this now? On every unit manufactured, comma, you are budgeting to recover $20 per unit. मतलब हर यूनिट के पीछे या हर यूनिट से आप $20 वसूल करके आपके टोटल ओवरहेड्स को रिकवर मतलब वसूल करना चाहते हैं. चाहते हैं, हुआ नहीं है. बजट चाहते हैं, हुआ नहीं. ये मेरी सोच है, ये मेरा एस्टिमेट है, ये मेरा प्रिडिक्शन है, ये मेरी भविष्यवाणी है, ये मेरी इच्छा है. हुआ है क्या? करना चाहता हूं. करना चाहता हूं, है नहीं. होगा तब देखेंगे. This is what I expect. Please understand this much. At this juncture, for this 20 per unit, क्या ये पॉइंट सबको समझ में आ रहा है? Is everyone understanding the meaning now of this $20 per unit? I wait for responses from all my participants. Do we understand the meaning of this? Yes or no, kindly reply.
Understood,
We understand the meaning of this, right? Right. Now, some of you are from the South Zone. I respect and I completely appreciate that. It's possible that you may not be completely comfortable with Hindi. Please effortlessly tell me that you are not. I will ensure that the calculations, the interpretations are only sticking to English and whoever needs a Hindi explanation is therefore given, right? Thereby given, and you will not be missing out. If that is a problem, kindly speak up comfortably. Right now, I want to recover 20 per unit. Okay, fair enough. No problem. My dear friends, how many hours am I working? 5,000. What are the overheads for, what are the total overheads for 5,000? Budgeted to be 50,000. So if I work for 1 hour, how much overhead will I require? Fair enough. So overhead per hour now. Notice this is per hour. Earlier it was per unit. This was per unit. This was overhead per unit. I want you to notice that now this is overhead per hour. Dollars 50,000 of overheads for 5,000 hours is dollars 10 per hour. My dear friends, units 2,500 are made in hours 50,000. So 1 unit is made in how many hours? The answer is 50,000 hours divided by 2,500 units. This is equal to 50,000 divided by 2,500. This is equal to what? This is the, oh, I'm so sorry. This is $50,000 of
5,000.
overhead. I beg pardon. I beg pardon. Kindly excuse me for this error. Kindly excuse me for this error. Please let's focus back. Forgive me for this error. Kindly don't get confused. I'll restart it again. Oversimplification sometimes has difficult impact for a person like me. Now, hours and overheads, please pay attention. $50,000 of overheads. So for 1 hour, how many dollars? So overhead per hour is equal to dollars 50,000 divided by 5,000 hours. It is equal to dollars 10 per hour. Now, my dear friends, units 2,500 are made in hours 5,000. So 1 unit is made in how many hours? So 5,000 hours divided by 2,500 units. This gives me 2 hours per unit. 1 hour at the rate of dollars 10 per hour. Therefore, 2 hours is equal to $10 multiplied by 2, which is equal to $20. So I have found out the rate per unit by using hours budgeted. And the meaning of this is very, very simple. That for every 1 hour that I work, I want to recover $10 per hour. And for every 1 unit that I make, I want to recover $20 per unit, and this is solely for fixed overheads. This is solely for fixed overheads. ये सिर्फ fixed overheads की बात मैं कर रहा हूं. यहाँ पे मटेरियल, लेबर, वेरिएबल ओवरहेड कुछ भी आया नहीं है. ये सिर्फ और सिर्फ फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स की ही बात चल रही है शुरुआत से. क्या अब हम सब समझ चुके हैं कि हाउ डिड इट कम टू $20 per unit to be recovered, and again how it has come to $10 per hour to be recovered? That is why it is 20 per unit. Have we all understood this particular aspect of my lecture so far? क्या ये बातें सबको समझ में आ रही है? काइंडली गिव मी अ थम्स अप, yes or no. I am awaiting your responses. I am awaiting your responses. Have we understood this? Yes or no? Kindly respond.
Yes, sir.
Right, guys? Are we understanding this aspect? Are we understanding this aspect? Basic mathematics. Now, we will complicate or we will make the things slightly realistic. Now, let us go back. Again, let me write down standard and let me write down actual. Now, here in standard, I am going to write down days. In standard, I am going to write down days. I'm going to write down days. Days are 25 standard. You predicted that you will work for 25 days. You want to take a screenshot? I beg pardon. Here, just a moment. I'll let you take a screenshot. Let it come a little smaller. Here you go. Take a screenshot till here. Let me know when taken so that I can scroll ahead. Taken?
Yes, sir.
Now from that juncture, you take till here. Let me know when taken so I can go ahead. Right? If you want, you can take like this also. Take like this. However, whatever works, take it. Right? Let's move ahead. Let's move ahead. Also ensure that you are making your notes, right? So, it's making logic to you while you see and read. Now, I budgeted that we will work for 25 days, but actually my laborers work for 27 days. Well and good. I budgeted that we will work for 5,000 hours, but my laborers worked for 5,500 hours. Fantastic. I budgeted that I will have an overhead of 5 lakhs, but we actually, 50,000. I beg pardon. Let's take this as 50,000. Just a second. Say that I'd have a overhead of say 50,000 budgeted, but actually I came home with 53,000. This is what my expense actually happened. This is actual money that went out of my pocket. And most important part of this is that my output, I expected it to be 2,500 units, and this has turned out to be 2,550 units. Okay, sir. Now the interesting conversation begins. Let's talk about budgeted. Let's talk about budgeted for a while. This section of the screen is only for budgeted. Please pay attention. Can I say that I have budgeted to recover? I have budgeted to recover $50,000 divided by 2,500 units, which is equal to $20 per unit manufactured. क्या यह बात आपको ठीक लग रही है? Please tell me that much. Yes or no, please tell me that. Yes or no, please tell me that.
Yes, sir.
दोहराई जा रही है. The third time I'm saying this. But tell me now, agreed or disagreed? Agreed? Agreed? I'm
Agree.
not getting responses
Yes,
from the
sir.
audience. Yes or no? Yes or no? Is that the only
Yes, sir.
attendee? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yes? Okay. Change in color. Why change in color? Because a change in something very different now. Sir, now let's talk about absorbed. Sir, what is the meaning of absorbed? Absorbed means वसूल करना. To recover. How much I want to recover behind 1 unit? $20 per unit. How many units have I actually manufactured? 2,550. So when I manufactured 2,550 units, I can wasool, that is recover 2,550 multiplied by, that is 2550 units multiplied by $20 per unit, 2550 multiplied by 20, I can recover $51,000. इतना खर्चा रिकवर करने की मेरी क्षमता, कैपेसिटी है. आर यू विथ मी ऑन दैट? सर फिर ये क्या था 50,000 रुपया? दिस वॉज बजटेड. ये क्या था? ये वो 15 लाख रुपए थे जो अभी तक मिस्टर नरेंद्र मोदी मुझे देते रह गए, आए नहीं अभी तक मेरे पास. ये एक सोच है, ये एक विचार है जो अभी तक आया नहीं है मेरे पास. ये एक सोच है, ये एक एस्टिमेट है, ये एक इच्छा है, यह एक महत्वाकांक्षा है, ये एक एक्सपेक्टेशन है. दिस इज बजटेड. दिस इज व्हाट आई एक्सपेक्ट. आई एक्सपेक्ट दैट when I manufacture 2,500 units, I will incur $50,000. That therefore, per unit, I will recover $20, so that $50,000 फुल वसूल होगा. ये तो सिर्फ बजट है और ये मेरी क्षमता है. पर याद रखिएगा ध्यान से, ये जो आप कहते हो कि आपकी क्षमता है, ये जो 20 रुपया है, दिस रेट इज बेस्ड ऑन द बजट. इट इज बेस्ड ऑन बजट. आपने जो बजटिंग की है उसके बेसिस पे ये 20 रुपया आपको रिकवरी का हो रहा है. एम आई क्लियर अबाउट दिस लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन? यस और नो? प्लीज टेल मी दैट. Are we understanding the concept of absorbed overheads? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Are we understanding the concept of absorbed overheads? Yes, you have a doubt. Please ask. Go ahead.
सर ये एब्जॉर्ब तो एक तरह का फ्लेक्सिबल हो गया ना सर.
नहीं नहीं नहीं, इसमें फ्लेक्सिबल की बात ही नहीं. फ्लेक्सिबल की बात बाद में करेंगे. फ्लेक्सिबल की बात
नॉर्मल
बाद में करेंगे. अब मैं आपसे कह रहा हूं कि आपके फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड को जो आप 50,000 मान के चले हो, बराबर है? आप जो मान के चले हो कि मैं 2,500 यूनिट बनाऊंगा, बराबर है? बराबर है? आपके
यस
बिजनेस में क्या कैपेसिटी है? आपके बिजनेस में कैपेसिटी है, आपके बिजनेस में कैपेसिटी है, एक यूनिट के पीछे, एक यूनिट के पीछे आपको क्या करना है? आपको रिकवर करने हैं 20 रुपये. कितना रिकवर करना है? 20 रुपया रिकवर करना है. क्या ये बात आपके समझ में आ रही है? आपको एक यूनिट के पीछे कितना रिकवर करना है? 20 रुपया. एम आई क्लियर अबाउट दिस? यस और नो?
यस सर.
आपके बिजनेस में कितनी क्षमता है? आपकी ताकत, आपकी कैपेसिटी, आपकी क्षमता क्या है? आप एक यूनिट के पीछे कितना रिकवर कर सकते हो? कितना रिकवर कर सकते हो? 20 रुपया.
$20.
तो
यस सर.
अगर आप 2550 यूनिट बनाएंगे तो आप कितना रिकवर करेंगे?
51,000.
ये आप रिकवर कर सकते हो. ये आपकी ताकत है, ये आपकी कैपेसिटी, ये आपकी क्षमता है. आई बात समझ में? यस और नो? प्लीज टेल मी दैट. यस और
यस
नो?
सर.
अब अगर कैपेसिटी से ज्यादा खर्चा हुआ तो अच्छा हुआ कि बुरा हुआ? इट इज बैड. यस और नो?
यस सर.
और अगर कैपेसिटी से कम खर्चा हुआ तो इट इज गुड। ये जो बैड है इसको बोलने का अंडर एब्जॉर्ब। ये जो गुड है इसको बोलने का ओवर एब्जॉर्ब। प्लीज कीप दिस मच इन माइंड। सर समझाओ। बेहद बेशक बेहद बार समझाता हूं। मेरी कैपेसिटी एक यूनिट के पीछे $20 पर यूनिट की फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड रिकवर करने की है। देयरफॉर 2550 यूनिट के पीछे मैं 51,000 वसूल कर सकता हूं। पर 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 मेरा खर्चा एक्चुअली 2550 यूनिट्स के लिए 53,000 हुआ है। मैंने मेरी क्षमता से ज्यादा खर्चा कर दिया है। मैंने मेरी क्षमता से ज्यादा, मैं रिकवर कितना करने की ताकत रखता हूं? 50,000, 51,000, 51,000। मेरा खर्चा कितना हुआ साला? 53,000 मेरा खर्चा हुआ। यार कैपेसिटी से ज्यादा तो मेरा खर्चा है। अब क्या बॉम्ब मारू? ये तो बुरा हुआ। तो किसने बोला? आपने बोला? कहाँ बोला? यहाँ बोला। कैपेसिटी से ज्यादा अगर खर्चा हुआ, कैपेसिटी मेरी 51, चलो इसको ये 51 को यहां लिखते हैं। कैपेसिटी मेरी 51, खर्चा मेरा 53, तो ये बुरा हुआ। कितना ज्यादा हुआ? 2,000 ज्यादा हुआ। 2,000 अंडर एब्सॉर्ब। अंडर एब्सॉर्ब का मतलब होता है, अंडर एब्सॉर्ब्ड का मतलब होता है वो फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड जो रिकवर करने की मेरी क्षमता नहीं है। द फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड्स दैट आई कैन नॉट रिकवर। कितना हुआ रे तेरा फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड? 53,000। कितना रिकवर किया? 51। 2,000 कहाँ गया भैया? वो पानी में गया। पानी में गया मतलब अंडर एब्सॉर्ब्ड। ये पैसा वापस आने वाला नहीं है। अंडर एब्सॉर्ब का मतलब है नुकसान। अंडर एब्सॉर्ब का मतलब क्या है? नुकसान। आर वी अंडरस्टैंडिंग द कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ एब्सॉर्प्शन? यस और नो? प्लीज टेल मी दैट। बोलिए, समझा है कि नहीं? सर वेरिएंस को लेक्चर था। अरे करेंगे ना वेरिएंस, कल का भी दिन है। सर एमसीयू मंडे को करेंगे। पहले कॉन्सेप्ट तो समझो। इसको डीएनए में घुसाता हूं अभी। मौका दो, अब देखो कैसे डीएनए में घुसता है। समझा कि नहीं समझा? बोलो, आर यू विथ मी ऑन दैट? काइंडली रिस्पॉन्ड yes or no. One more example. One more example. One more example. Students, yes or no? Come on,
Yes,
give me
sir.
a
Yes,
response.
sir.
Yes, sir.
One more example.
No more.
अरे तू क्या, तू मांग में तेरे को 4 देगा। फिक्र मत कर। एपेक्स मेरा है, मैं कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ। नॉट टू वरी। चल स्टैंडर्ड। actual. Pay attention. Here, I am saying that my budgeted overheads are $100,000. Okay? Hours I'm working over here are, let's say, 25,000 hours. All right. Budgeted output. Rather, I don't have to use the word budgeted here, but okay, no problem. We'll draw a line over. Oh, screen's hanging. We'll draw a line, no worries. A budgeted output, right? I'm saying is 10,000 units. Now my actual overheads come to $1,45,000. My budgeted output, I'm saying is 15,000 units. I want you to calculate under or over a recovery of, and these are all fixed overheads. Budgeted overheads fixed, actual overheads fixed. I want you to calculate the under or over recovery of fixed overheads. Here, I come to you and I ask you whether you would like me to solve it in the starting, or do you want me to give you an ample opportunity to solve? What is it that you want? Please tell me. I'll give you 5 minutes. What do you want, guys? You want to solve yourself? Come on, responses quickly. Do you want time? 5 minutes?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So then we will stop the recording for your solving and then we'll start it back again. So our calculations are done. Very simple, very basic. This is budgeted. On the basis of budgeted, I will say overhead per unit is equal to $100,000 divided by 10,000 units, which is equal to $10 per unit. What is the meaning of this? I need to recover, that is, per unit मैं $10 वसूल करूंगा. I will वसूल $10 per unit. Fair point. So, what is my capacity? For 15,000 units of actual production? My capacity is 15,000 units multiplied by $10 per unit. Therefore, $1,50,000. What is this? This is my capacity to wasool fixed overheads. My dear friends, if actual fixed overheads are greater than my capacity to wasool, this is bad for me. It is an under recovery. If actual fixed overheads are less than my capacity to wasool, it is good for me. It is an over recovery. My actual work 145,000 and my capacity was 150,000. It is good. The difference is $5,000. The difference is $5,000, which is an over recovery of fixed overheads. It is an over recovery of fixed overheads. Are you all with me on that? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Are you all with me on that? Yes or no? Please tell me that. This is an over recovery of fixed overheads. Do we agree to my statement? Yes or no? Agreed?
Yes, sir.
Agreed? Everybody has gotten this calculation. Everybody has gotten this calculation. Fair enough. Fair enough. Therefore, I would like to make a few comments. My first comment here is, when it comes to budgeted overheads, are a management estimate of how much fixed overheads a company will incur for that particular period. This will be calculated on a unit, or rather I will say per unit basis. It can also be calculated on a per hour basis. It boils down to per unit basis. Now, what is absorbed or applied? My dear friends, absorbed or applied is the capacity of the company to recover the fixed overheads from each unit manufactured. And what is actual? Actual is the actual overhead that is incurred. My dear friends, absorbed is based on budgeted rate. Absorbed is based on budgeted rate. Please agree to my statement. I said $1 lakh for 10,000 units, and then I said $10 per unit. My dear friends, this is your budgeted rate per unit. You put this into absorbed. How did you absorb it? You took the actual units and you multiplied it by the budgeted rate, which one of our attendees said was nothing but the flexible budget, and he gets full marks for saying that, because actually this is what I'm doing in the flexible budget. I take actual volume and I multiply that by standard rate and I compare this with my actual overheads. Agree or disagree? Please tell me that this is the way it goes. Do you agree with this statement? Yes or no? Do you agree with this
Yes, sir.
statement? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
I believe all of you have understood and are agreeing with this statement. I'm getting your responses accordingly. Right, guys? All right. Kindly take a screenshot of the same. Kindly take a screenshot of the same. Assuming that the screenshot is taken, now I go back and I rewrite the item again. You have to forgive me for this, but that's how it goes. So I'm going to work for 25 days standard. Actually, I work for 27. I say I'm going to work for 5,000 hours. Actually, I work for 5,500 hours. Maybe I work 2 man days extra. I say that my overheads are going to be $50,000. They turn out to be $53,000. I say that my output will be 2,500 units and it turns out to be 2,550 units. इस पोजीशन पे हम खड़े हैं, इस पोजीशन पे हम खड़े हैं. सबसे पहला और सबसे अहम वेरिएंस, सबसे पहला और सबसे अहम वेरिएंस जिसे कहते हैं फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड कॉस्ट वेरिएंस. सबसे पहला और सबसे अहम वेरिएंस इस फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड कॉस्ट वेरिएंस इज, प्लीज अंडरस्टैंड. हम लोग क्या गाना गा रहे थे अभी तक? When it came to material cost, याद रखिए, मैंने कितना एक्सपेंस सोचा वर्सेस मुझे कितना एक्सपेंस हुआ. करेक्ट? Please agree. How much I thought I will spend on materials versus what I actually spent on materials. Agreed or disagreed? Give me a thumbs up. That was material cost variance. What I thought my material cost will be versus what my actual material cost is. Agreed or disagreed? What about labor cost variance? What I thought my labor cost will be versus what my actual labor cost is. ये कैसे किया? Standard price multiplied by standard quantity multiplied by actual price multiplied by actual quantity. Now for labor, it is standard hours multiplied by standard rate multiplied by actual hours multiplied by actual rate. Agreed or disagreed? Agreed or disagreed? My dear friends, do you agree or disagree to this logic? Do you agree or disagree to this logic? First of all, remember the logic of how much I want to spend versus how much I actually spend is not applicable for fixed overhead cost variance. Is not applicable for fixed overhead cost variance. The logic that works over here, the logic that works over here is how much can I absorb versus how much did I actually expend. This is the logic that applies here. This is the logic that applies here. How much can I absorb versus how much did I actually spend. Therefore, fixed overhead cost variance is given by fixed overhead absorbed minus actual fixed overheads. My dear friends, this is your formula for what? For fixed overhead cost variance. This logic of materials, this logic of labor will not apply. Logic of material, comma, labor will not apply here. It will not apply here. यहाँ पे वो गाना गा के नहीं चलेगा. आपको नया गाना गाना पड़ेगा. हाउ मच कैन आई अब्सॉर्ब वर्सेस हाउ मच डिड आई एक्चुअली एक्सपेंड. सर इसे कैसे करेंगे? आपको एब्जॉर्प्शन रेट कैलकुलेट करना पड़ेगा पर यूनिट, मल्टीप्लाई दैट बाय द एक्चुअल यूनिट्स माइनस द एक्चुअल एक्सपेंडिचर. Please take a screenshot immediately. Please take a screenshot immediately. Is it taken? I want to rub with immediate effect. I want to rub with immediate effect. I'm assuming it is taken. I'm assuming it is taken. My dear friends, यहाँ पे what are you going to do? You are going to apply the following logic. You are going to apply the following logic. And what is the logic? The logic is simple. The logic is clear. How much can I absorb is your absorption rate per unit multiplied by actual units minus actual overheads, right? So this is nothing but absorbed overheads. So what is your absorption rate per unit? It is dollars 50,000 divided by 2,500 units multiplied by the actual units 2550. So 50,000 divided by 2,500 multiplied by 2550 gives me the answer 51,000 minus my actual overheads of 53,000. It gives me the answer minus 2,000 or 2,000 adverse. तो इसमें एडवर्स और फेवरेबल कैसे याद रखेंगे? बहुत सिंपल है. अगर आपके एब्जॉर्ब्ड ओवरहेड्स आपके एक्चुअल से ज्यादा है तो आपकी ओवर रिकवरी हो जाएगी और ये आपके लिए फेवरेबल हो जाएगा. और अगर आपके एब्जॉर्ब्ड ओवरहेड्स आपके एक्चुअल से कम है तो ये आपकी अंडर रिकवरी हो जाएगी, ये अनफेवरेबल होगा. Are you all understanding what I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen? Fixed overhead cost variance is over. The toughest variance is over. गया, खत्म हो गया. Understanding? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Kindly give me a thumbs up if you are understanding. Yes or no, guys? Yes or no? Have you understood? Yes? All right. All right. Please take a screenshot. Please take a screenshot. Request you to take a screenshot. Hope screenshot is taken. Now. Let's move ahead. Let's move ahead. Fixed overhead cost variance is broken down into two variances. What are those variances? The first variance is fixed overhead expenditure, also called as fixed overhead spending variance. This is very, very simple. इसमें अभी वो लॉजिक वापस आ जाएगा. इसमें ओल्ड लॉजिक विल कम बैक. कितना खर्चा हुआ वर्सेस कितना खर्चा होना चाहिए था. माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, कितना खर्चा हुआ? 53,000. कितना खर्चा होना चाहिए था? ओवर हियर आई एम गोइंग टू से ओनली बजटेड होना चाहिए था. रिकवर किया ये वर्ड्स नहीं है. क्या है? 50,000. प्लीज रिमेंबर दिस. डू यू रिमेंबर दैट मेरे ओवरहेड्स स्टैंडर्ड में 50,000 थे, बजट में 53,000 थे. यहाँ पे मुझे आवर्स लगे थे 5,000, यहाँ पे मुझे आवर्स लगे थे 5,500. यहाँ पे मेरा आउटपुट बना था 2,500, यहाँ पे बना था 2,550. कितना खर्चा हुआ? 53,000. कितना होना चाहिए था? 50,000. दिस इज नॉट हियर. डू नॉट मेक द ब्लंडर. Do not make the blunder of taking absorbed overheads here, you have already done that in fixed overhead cost variance. Are you with me on that? Yes or no? Please give me a thumbs up. Have you understood? Have you understood this variance? Thereby your answer or your formula for this particular fellow is simple. That is budgeted fixed overheads minus actual fixed overheads, which is nothing but 50 minus 53, which is nothing but 3000 adverse, which is nothing but 3000 adverse. And I want you to remember here your answer was 2000 adverse. Yes, please. You have a doubt? Kindly ask. Kindly ask.
But sir, here level of activity are different.
Absolutely different. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. There is no doubt about it. But can I tell you something? Fixed overhead stays same irrespective of the level of activity. They are for the same amount if it is in the same range. You have to assume that they are in the same range. You will always assume that they are in the same range. Make 5 units or make 50 units, भाड़ा उतना ही देना पड़ेगा. Manufacture 5000 units or 8500 units, भाड़ा उतना ही देना पड़ेगा. Manufacture 8500 units or 10,000 units, fixed overheads उतना ही पड़ेगा. They are in that range. In that range. Got it?
सर हम हमेशा ऐसा एज्यूम करेंगे कि सेम रेंज
करना
में
पड़ेगा. There is no other way of doing it. Otherwise, you will keep revising everything, and there will be no end to a variance calculation. It is assumed that whatever you will manufacture and produce will not have such a huge, I will say, disparity that they will fall out of different ranges. That will show you कि आप बोल रहे हो कि मुझे 10,000 बनाने हैं, आप बना के आते हो 24,000. चलो आपका रेंज 10 से 30 का है. अब आप बनाते हो 10,000 और अब बोलते हो बनाएंगे 10,000 और बनाते हो 90,000. मैनेजमेंट की सोच को कोई हाथ पैर है कि नहीं है? ये मैनेजमेंट कंचे खेल रही है क्या विद द डेटा? यार आप बोल रहे हो हम 10,000 बनाएंगे, बना के आते हो 90, तो तुमने क्या डिमांड फोरकास्टिंग घंटा की थी? किस हिसाब से सीईओ बने हो? सीए में क्यों बने हो? डिमांड फोरकास्टिंग ये आती है तुम्हें? क्या मार्केट इंटेलिजेंस है तुम्हारे पास? फिर क्या पास डेटा यूज किया तुमने? क्या बेसिस पे बजट बनाया? लॉजिकल स्टेटमेंट yes or no? Logical statement yes or no? So but suddenly there was a spurt in demand. Okay, the budget will be revised at that point in time. You will not go by the old budget. You will have a revised budget. Maybe it will be made for 80,000 units. Why not? Spurt of demand. Why not? Understanding yes or no?
Yes sir.
Right. Next. The next one is fixed overhead. The names for this particular variances, this particular variance have multiple names. The names is fixed overhead, volume, variance. This is also called as production volume variance. It is also called as production volume variance. Always remember ये volume है. Volume का मतलब होता है number of units. Volume is related to output. Output means number of units. इस बात को हमेशा याद रखिए. हमेशा इसे याद रखिए. तो अभी इसका क्या होगा? Very simple. कितना बनाना चाहिए था वर्सेस कितना बनाया है. माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, कितना बनाना चाहिए था इज योर बजटेड क्वांटिटी. कितना बनाया इज योर एक्चुअल क्वांटिटी. Sir, multiplied by standard price. Don't make this mistake when you see quantity. It is fixed overheads. It will always be absorption rate per unit. Sir, why per unit? आपने इधर पर आवर क्यों नहीं लिखा? मेरी जान, ये क्वांटिटी है, मतलब ये यूनिट है, इसीलिए ये पर यूनिट लिया. अगर ये आवर्स में होता तो मैं एब्जॉर्प्शन रेट पर आवर लेता. मेरी बजटेड क्वांटिटी थी 2500 यूनिट्स की, मैं बना के आया 2500 यूनिट्स. when budgeted quantity is greater than actual quantity, it is adverse. Why? It is less than expected. But when budgeted quantity is less than actual quantity, it is favorable. Why? Because it is more than expected. Multiplied by absorption rate per unit was $20 per unit. भूलिएगा मत, 50,000 divided by 2,500 is $20 per unit. I hope you are with me on that. So this is 50 multiplied by 20. This is $1,000 favorable. Proof of concept has been established. Sir, establish it for us. Why not? That fixed overhead cost variance is equal to fixed overhead expenditure variance, which is 3000 adverse plus fixed overheads volume variance, which is 1000 favorable, giving me a total answer of 2000 adverse. And lo and behold, it is proof of concept established. Yes, please ask your doubt.
सर ये 1000 जो एडवर्स होना चाहिए था ना, क्योंकि बजटेड से ज्यादा एक्चुअल है.
आपने आपकी मम्मी ने बोला, आपकी मम्मी ने बोला बेटा आप 80% स्कोर कीजिए, आप 85 स्कोर करके आए, मम्मी डांटेगी या खुश होगी? खुश होगी ना? यस और नो?
सर
यस और नो? ये बात बताइए मेरे को, ये बात बताइए. पहले इस पे बात करेंगे, इस डब्बे पे बात करेंगे. योर मॉम सेड स्कोर 80%, you scored 85%. Will your mom be happy or will she be angry? You tell me that. Happy or angry?
हैप्पी.
Happy? Very good. Why will she be happy? Because you performed more than expectations. Agreed? Her expectation was 80% from you. You humbly performed and you gave her 85%. She's happy from you because you performed higher than her expectations. Agreed? Today, I am expecting
Yes,
from my manager, he should produce 2,500 units. He goes on the floor and the guy gives me an output of 2,550 units. Is his performance exceeding the expectations that the management has from him? Is he performing more? Is he giving more output? Yes, he is. And this is output means volume, and I am checking a variance for volume. I don't care if more output means more cost. That is okay. More output means more sales also. Sir, ज्यादा बोलो या तो ज्यादा खर्चा होगा. I made more. I have more expense. Wow. You made more. You have more expense. Fine. Aren't you going to sell it, or did you make it to just keep it on your mental piece? You made it so that you are going to sell it. So more manufacturing means more activity than expected, which is good, which will in turn give you more sales than expected. Agreed or disagreed? Agreed or disagreed?
अग्रेड सर. तो मतलब ये कि वो
Therefore,
सेल
a
कर
higher
देता है,
quantity,
उनका
a higher quantity, a higher quantity in manufacture than the budgeted quantity is something that is favorable because you have exceeded the expectations that the management has from you for the purposes of manufacturing. Now do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Any doubts?
No doubt, sir.
Okay, guys, please take a screenshot of the same. Please take a screenshot of the same. Right. Taken? Let's proceed ahead. Now our chart will go a little more in its depth. What is our chart? Our chart began with fixed overhead cost variance, which was broken down into two guys. What were they? The first was fixed overhead expenditure variance, also called as fixed overhead spending variance. Not to get confused if you get this name. Do not get confused if you get this name. These are different names for the same particular item. Next, fixed overhead volume variance, also called as production volume variance. Always keep one thing in mind. Where I use the words volume, I mean output. When I mean output, I mean units. When I mean output, I mean units. Now, you will refer to the earlier chart for their, of course, formulae. These guys are now broken into the next two variances that you are going to study on this particular screen. The first variance that you are going to study now is fixed overheads capacity variance. What is it called? It is fixed overheads capacity variance. Always remember, capacity means hours. If volume means units, capacity means hours. Memorize this today. This is the language of costing. If volume means units, capacity means hours. Now, my dear students, let's go back to our original data. Standard and actual, right? Okay. I said that I will work here for how many hours? 5,000 hours. Here I said I will work for 5,500 hours. My overheads over here were 50,000 and my overheads over here were 53,000. This is money. Okay. What is my output? My output over here was 2,500. My output over here was 2,550. This is units. This is what? This is units. Now, my dear friends, please understand what is coming next. Fixed overhead capacity variance. कितने घंटे काम किया वर्सेस कितने घंटे काम करना चाहिए था. What is this? Actual hours worked. What is this? Budgeted hours. Not flexible, only budgeted. कितने घंटे काम किया? Multiplied by what? Multiplied by एब्जॉर्प्शन रेट. वो यूनिट्स था तो पर यूनिट था, अब ये आवर है तो एब्जॉर्प्शन रेट क्या आएगा? पर आवर. When it was units, it was units. Now it is hours, so it has to be per hour. Agreed or disagreed? Give me a thumbs up right now. When it was in units, that is when it was volume variance. When it was volume variance, it was absorption rate per unit. But now when it has become capacity variance, it is going to be overheads recovered per hour. Are you with me on that? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Are you with me on that? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Dear students, dear students, do you agree that when we spoke about this units, we took over here absorption rate. We took over here absorption rate per unit. And now when we talk over here hours, we will take absorption rate per hour. Yes or no, please tell me that. Agreed or disagreed? Agreed or disagreed? I want responses from the students. Lecture will
Agreed,
not go
agreed.
ahead. Yes or no?
Agreed, agreed. Yes, sir.
Agreed? What about the rest? Give me a thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. Yes or no? Yes or no? Agreed?
ये लो sir,
Agreed?
subscribe.
Superb. What is the actual hours? Actual hours 5,500. Budgeted hours 5,000. Sir, calculate the absorption rate. I don't remember. अरे कुछ नहीं है रे. Budgeted overheads divided by how many hours? 5,000 hours. So 500 multiplied by 10, which is equal to what? 5,000. Favorable. Sir, how is this favorable? Actual hours worked are greater than budgeted hours worked. Now pay attention. Pay attention. If this was labor efficiency variance, this is that much percent adverse. Are you with me? Yes or no? But this is fixed overhead capacity variance. When my labor works more than expected, I expect their output to exceed the expectations. I expect their output to exceed the expectations. This shows their capacity has increased. This is favorable for fixed overheads. My dear friends, you have learnt in labor that actual hours worked, if it is greater than budgeted hours worked or standard hours worked, you have learnt this. You have learnt this, that if actual hours work is greater than budgeted hours work, then this is adverse in labor efficiency variance. I don't deny this statement because I am the one who taught you this statement just today morning. But if you are working for a longer duration, I expect that you will give me a better or a larger output, which I can sell for higher price in the market. Your capacity has increased. And if your capacity has increased, it is obviously favorable for me. This variance will have contrasting impacts in labor and fixed overheads. Kindly write this down and I will write down the contrasting impacts. I will spoon feed them to you right now. Please write this down. Please write this down, or rather take a screenshot. I'd request you take a screenshot if you haven't written it already. Is a screenshot taken, please? Quickly. Is the screenshot taken, please? Yes or no? Is a screenshot taken, please? Yes or no? Students?
Snap is taken. So
Oh.
यहाँ पर एक क्वेश्चन है.
Yes, please.
Since सब वो पेज रखो ना earlier one.
Yes, please.
तो अगर हम लोग यहाँ पर कैपेसिटी की बात कर रहे हैं which is hours, तो हम लोग यहाँ पर flexible versus actual comparative
Because
नहीं
we
कर
are
रहे हैं.
not going to take flexible. On the assumption that you are within the same range, that is why you are in the position to compare your standard directly with your actual. That's the challenge of fixed overheads. You assume that you are in the same range of activity while classifying or calculating the variances. That's what happens. So since you have assumed that both of these hours fall in the same range, you don't need to revise them. Understood? Fixed overheads are fixed for a range. तो भले तुम 5,000 घंटे काम करो या 5,500 घंटे काम करो, पैसा तो उतना ही लगने वाला है. समझ में आई बात?
Yes, sir.
That is why. Got it? Did you understand?
Yes, sir.
No, you can say no. I'll try to convince you in a different way. Don't worry.
No, sir. No,
Let
sir.
the world watch. Why are you worried? You should get your doubts solved. Why are you feeling awkward? Should I explain again?
No, sir. No, it's fine.
Are you sure? See, what happened over here? You said that this is 5,000 hours. So this is 2,500. So this is how much? This is 10 per unit. This is how much? This is 10 per unit. Correct? 10 hours per unit, na? Oh, I'm sorry. How many hours per unit? 2 hours per unit. Correct? 2 hours per unit. So now this 5,500, right? Sorry, 2,550. How many it should be? This should ideally be 5,100 hours. How many hours it should be? Should be 5,100 hours. Correct? According to your that calculation. Yes or no? Yes or no? That's your flexible
Yes,
budget.
yes.
Correct? Yes or no? Come
Yes,
on,
sir.
that's what you're saying, na?
Yes, sir. Yes.
That is not a calculation of capacity, then, my dear child. It will be a calculation of efficiency. First, understand. Here I am only seeing my capacity. What is my capacity to, how much did I actually work? How much did I thought I will work? Think that I will work? Is my capacity increased? Yes. Good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Very good. Am I taking into consideration efficiency over here? No, this does not take into consideration efficiency. Understood? If you make a flexible budget out of this, aren't you counting the efficiency? That to make the same number of units, you will take 5,100 hours. Agreed or disagreed? Agreed or disagreed?
Agree, sir.
And you
Agree,
took
agree, sir.
5,500 hours. Agreed or disagreed? Agreed or disagreed?
Agree.
So you took 400 hours extra.
Agree, sir.
You tell me, you took 400 hours extra. Yes? है ना? 5,100 में काम होना चाहिए, तुमने 5,500 में किया. You took how many hours extra? 400 hours extra you took. Correct? What is the absorption rate? 20 per hour. What is the absorption rate? 20 per hour. Agreed or disagreed? Oh, sorry, it is 10 per hour. I beg your pardon. It is 10 per hour.
10,
Agreed or
10.
disagreed?
Hmm.
Yes or no?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Here you have automatically calculated labor, your fixed overhead efficiency variance. That's the next variance I'm going to teach you. Since it's efficiency, it takes into consideration flexible budget. Here it is capacity. Capacity is only a pure calculation of how many hours can your production manager make you work for a longer duration of time. Yes, he can make me work for a longer duration of time. Now, what work you did and what work you did not do, I am not interested. तुमने ज्यादा काम किया, bonus दे दो उसको. He can make them work longer. Isn't that a good sign for a production manager that he can make them work longer? Yes or no? You tell me, yes or no? He can make them work for longer duration. Is that a good sign or a bad sign? Is it good or bad? Tell me. Hello.
Yes, sir. It's a good sign. No?
Good.
They
That
can-
is why you should give him a reward on the basis of the capacity of the laborer increasing. The capacity of the laborer increasing. Today you can study 6 hours a day. But after being in my company, if you study 12 hours a day, is it good or bad? Is it good or bad?
Good it is.
Your capacity increased?
Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
But I am telling you that what you did in 12 hours can be done in 8 hours. Now, is that good or bad? That's bad. Your efficiency is low. Although your capacity has increased, your efficiency is low. Understood?
Hmm.
Take a
Yes, sir.
screenshot. Taken? See, understand what is capacity. Capacity means you study 6 hours to begin with. But then now you have brought this up to 12 hours. Has your capacity increased? That you can sit in one place for 6 hours extra. Is this good or is this bad? First you tell me that. Is this good or is this bad? It is good. Correct? Agreed or
Yes,
disagreed?
sir.
Your capacity has increased. But I am saying good, your capacity has increased. But what you thought you can achieve in 12 hours, there is another student who can do this in 8 hours. Your capacity has increased, I get it. But what about efficiency? Sir, I used to eat 2 chapati to begin with. Then I started going to the gym. Now I eat 12 chapati. Fantastic. Your capacity has increased. How many times you go to the toilet? Sir, 8 times. Okay. How many times did you go to the toilet first, sir? 1 time. Do you have the potential to digest 12 chapatis? Tell me. Tell me. You are eating more. Wallah. Very nice. Mummy is happy. Ha, beta. But beta is going to toilet 8 times. Oh, beta can't digest. You are giving beta that much. Beta is not efficient. So beta should be eating how many? 4 chapatis. Are you understanding what I'm trying to say? Yes or no? Please tell me that. Understood? Yes or no? Yes or no? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, this is fixed overhead volume variance, also called as production volume variance, which is broken down into 2 pieces. The first is fixed overhead capacity variance. This is a bare bone comparison of actual hours worked versus budgeted hours without using a flexible budget. It only checks if the capacity to work has increased. It does not measure efficiency. It only sees whether the capacity to work has increased. Can you work for more number of time? Can you work for a higher number of hours? Can you work for a higher number of hours? That's all it checks. Are you with me on that? What is it a comparison of? It is actual hours minus budgeted hours multiplied by what? Absorption rate per hour. In this case, if actual hours are greater than budgeted hours, it is favorable. Keep one thing in mind. This is exactly opposite of labor efficiency variance, because for labor efficiency variance, actual hours are greater than budgeted hours is adverse. So keep one thing in mind. Keep one thing in mind. Just because capacity increases does not mean labor has become efficient. What is the meaning of that? It means that where fixed overhead capacity variance is favorable, over there labor efficiency variance will be adverse, and where this variance is adverse, labor efficiency variance will be favorable. Are you with me on that? Yes or no, please tell me. Are you with me on that? Yes or no, please tell me. भैया आपसे बस ज्यादा घंटे काम यदि मैं करवा लूं तो इसमें क्या सबूत है कि आप उम्दा क्वालिटी का, उम्दा दर्जे का काम कर रहे हो? वो तो ज्यादा घंटा तो इनकम टैक्स वाला बाबू भी काम करता है, पर बैठ के वहां पे साला कैंडी क्रश खेलता है। ज्यादा घंटा तो जीवन बीमा में बैठने वाली आंटी भी काम करती है, पर देख रहे तो वहां पे वो दूध ही छील रही होती है, करेला काट रही होती है। इज दैट एफिशिएंसी? ऑफिस में बैठे रहने को काम करना नहीं बोलते, लेकिन आपको उतने घंटे ऑफिस के अंदर बिठा के रखना भी एक कुदरत का करिश्मा है, क्योंकि घंटी बजी नहीं तो आपको घर पे जाना है। आपकी कैपेसिटी बढ़ी, ये अच्छी बात है, लेकिन कैपेसिटी बढ़ने के बाद क्या आपकी एफिशिएंसी बढ़ी? नॉट नेसेसरीली, नॉट नेसेसरीली। ये बात मानी जाती है कि सिर्फ कैपेसिटी बढ़ने से कुछ भी नहीं होता है। एक घंटे पे एक बच्चे को यहाँ पे 8 घंटा बुक लेके बिठा दो, एक बच्चे को बिठा दो इधर, ये बुक है, ये लेके बैठो 8 घंटा। क्या पढ़ा बाबा तूने? पढ़ रहा हूँ, बहुत पढ़ रहा हूँ, पढ़ रहा हूँ, बहुत जोर से पढ़ रहा हूँ। अरे भाई तूने पढ़ा? अरे पढ़ा क्या तूने? 8 घंटे बैठा मैं, 8 घंटे पहले 2 घंटे बैठता था, अभी मैं 8 घंटे बैठा, पर तूने पढ़ा क्या? तूने किया क्या? कुछ। अरे व्हाट डिड यू अचीव? नथिंग। अरे जो तू 8 घंटे बैठ के करता है वो उधर दूसरा वाला बाबा 4 घंटे में करके दिखाता है। तो व्हाट आर यू एफिशिएंट? यू आर नॉट एफिशिएंट। To become efficient, you must have certain other qualities. But is this capacity variance calculating your efficiency? It is not. Only capacity to work is being calculated. It does not measure the efficiency. So, where the capacity increases does not mean labor has become efficient. That is why you don't revise this budget. A revised budget is, pay attention for the doubt that was raised. The revised budget will hit on, your absolute efficiency. Pay attention to my statement. In standard, I wanted my output to be 2,500. My hours were 5,000. Agreed or disagreed? My hours were 5,000. Agreed or disagreed? Yes. Yes, your doubt. Please unmute. Focus.
Yes, sir, yes.
Okay, this. Now, what happened actually? I made 2,550 units in 5,500 hours. Wow. So, as per capacity, you tell me one thing. Did my capacity increase by 500? Yes or no? Yes
sir.
or no?
Yes.
So, you are very happy. Very happy. Wow, my laborers are working for 400 extra hours. That is what? Happiness for what? 400 extra hours for capacity. Boss, tell me one thing. If you need 2 hours to make 1 unit, so how many hours are you going to need to make 2,550 units? Sir, I need 5,100 hours. Oh shit. So you worked for 500 extra hours. I'm not saying no. But the work could have been done only in 100 extra hours. Yes or no? Are you efficient just because your capacity has increased? No. So we commend you and we give you a reward for increasing the capacity of everybody. You can now make my laborers work for a longer duration of time. That in itself is your achievement. But have you made them efficient? No, you have not. So I will give you a bonus for making them work for a longer period of time. but I will give you a corrective action for not making them as efficient. Sir, in the next period, I will not only increase their capacity, but I will also increase their efficiency. Wallah, you are the production manager I'm looking for. You are the production manager I'm looking for. Why? Not only can you make them work for longer hours, but you will make sure that they are more productive in those hours that they are working for. Now, do you understand the logic of fixed overhead capacity variance? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, does everybody understand this logic? Everybody understands this logic? Yes or no? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Thumbs ups from everyone? Awesome. Take a screenshot. Take a screenshot. Tell me if it's taken. Tell me if it's taken. Taken? Let's go ahead. Now. Your fixed overhead volume variance. Fixed overhead volume variance is divided in two parts, as I was saying. The first part is your fixed overhead capacity variance, and your second part is your fixed overhead efficiency variance. Look at the first statement. Just because it is more, it is not good. This is the logic. ज्यादा मिला ज्यादा मिला ज्यादा मिला ज्यादा मिला. अरे ज्यादा मिल के सिर पे डालेगा. अरे ज्यादा मिला ज्यादा मिला. ज्यादा बूट पॉलिश मिला. कपड़े पे लगाओगे, चेहरे पे लगाओगे, ब्रेड पे लगा के खाओगे. अरे ज्यादा मिलने का फायदा क्या है? बूट पॉलिश है वो, उसका उतना ही उस पे यूजफुल है वो. अरे ज्यादा मिला क्या? जैम ज्यादा मिला. चेहरे पे लगाओगे, कितना जैम खाओगे एक दिन में? अरे ज्यादा मिला क्या? पानी. चल जाएगा. हर जगह पे यूज होता है. आई कैन यूज इट फॉर कुकिंग, बेदिंग, क्लीनिंग, ड्रिंकिंग, कुकिंग, एनीथिंग. वो चीज काम में आनी चाहिए. वो चीज काम में आनी चाहिए. Just because it is more, it is not good. Here, we will measure efficiency by using a flexible budget. My God. By using what? A flexible budget. इसको मैं इधर बॉक्स करता हूं. इसका बॉक्स मतलब इसका स्टोरी ओवर. अभी यहां पे देखना. Standard output 2500 units, hours 5000. Actual output 2550, 5500 hours. Okay. Flexible budget 2550, 5100 hours. How did I get this? 2500 यूनिट बनाने को मुझे आवर कितना लगा? 5000 लगा. तो अगर मुझे 2550 बनाना है तो कितना? सो 2550 मल्टीप्लाइड बाय 5000 डिवाइडेड बाय 2500. मेरा आंसर क्या आया? 5100 आया. करेक्ट? सो माय डियर फ्रेंड्स, जस्ट बिकॉज योर कैपेसिटी इंक्रीज्ड from budgeted 5000 to actual 5500 hours, don't go crazy. What work you are doing, 5500 hours, can be done in 5100 hours. Just cause you are working does not mean you are productive. Just cause you are working does not mean you are productive. Example, if a chartered accountancy firm's gatekeeper or security guard is working for 20 hours a day, will the chartered accountancy firm become more productive? Tell me that. Tell me that. Yes or no? It makes no sense. The chartered accountancy firm has data. Nobody is going to come with an AK-47 and tell you, give me the laptop, otherwise I'll fire bullets at you. They'll try to hack your database. You need a firewall. You don't need a physical security. Please understand what I'm trying to say. Please understand. So just because you are working for longer duration of time does not make you productive. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. There are some students who study 12 to 14 hours a day and they score 90-95%. I commend them because they study that much. And there are some students I have seen, they study 4 to 6 hours a day, they score 95-97%. How is that possible? Sound concentration, clear mind, absolute confidence in self. They do it. They are brilliant naturally. It happens. No students are the same. So no laborers are the same. Just because you are working for a longer duration, who is saying that you are efficient? You are not efficient. Study when you are tired. Sit over there for 12 hours with a book. You won't understand jack shit of what you are reading. Be fresh and work for 3 hours. You'll understand everything that you are reading. Suddenly you are more efficient. So here, what are we comparing? Here we are comparing actual hours minus revised standard hours multiplied by what? Multiplied by, of course, your standard absorption rate per hour. So here, what are we looking at? What are your actual hours? 5,500. And what are your revised hours? 5,100. You can write this differently also. I don't mind you writing differently. Why I'm saying just because you're working more does not mean you are efficient. So here, why I'm saying you write this first, write it like this. Revised standard hours minus actual hours multiplied by what? Absorption rate per hour. What are your revised standard hours? 5,100. What are your actual hours? 5,500. What is your absorption rate per hour? My dear friends, it is nothing but how many, and what is your, of course, overhead? Your overhead here in standard is 50,000. Here it is 55,000. So it is going to be what? 50,000 divided by 5,000 hours. This is dollars and this is hours. So what are we looking at? We are looking at 400 multiplied by, how much is this? This is 10, which is what?
Adverse.
4,000 adverse. How much adverse? Is 4,000 adverse. I hope you're with me on that. 4,000 adverse. Am I clear about this, ladies and gentlemen? Am I clear about this, ladies and gentlemen? Now, please pay attention. Your fixed overhead volume variance was 1,000 favorable. Remember, it was 1,000 favorable. Your fixed overhead capacity variance was 5,000 favorable, if you remember in your earlier screenshot. And this is 4,000 adverse, which is proof of concept, that fixed overhead volume variance is equal to fixed overhead capacity variance plus fixed overhead efficiency variance. This is proof of concept. And with this, fixed overhead variances are finished. With this, fixed overhead variances are finished. Are you with me on that, ladies and gentlemen? Our explanations for all the concepts of standard costing come to an end. Standard costing conceptual explanations are over. Kindly take a screenshot of the same. Assuming screenshot is taken, rubbing the screen and pausing the recording to take any doubts if